Because at the heart of each of these different practices was one key thing: alchemy. In fact, the name carpenter was translated to a lot of these different, there's like 3 or 4 different religions that use the name carpenter for the founding person. They said they were a carpenter. It's a bad translation. If you study the actual translation, it's not carpenter, it's craft. Adept of the craft. And the craft is an ancient reference to alchemy, or the process, the study of disassociating matter and reconnecting through the different planes or dimensions until back into pure consciousness. We discussed this last night: physical, astral, emotional, causal, psychic, thinking, and then back to consciousness. In studying different teachings, esoteric traditions, and this doesn't just translate to the religions, this goes to the shamans, the Native American people, elders, the folks in native cultures, different hidden societies that practice different meditation and alchemy and Taoism. Our people have been entirely involved in this process throughout the ages, because the human is like a flower. It has the physical, and yet it also flowers and opens up back to its source. That is the human faculty and design, from my perspective. And one thing that is common in each of the different traditions, if you study them and you weed through, because the religions like to mistranslate things. Every religion that we have that's used societally has been majorly, from Buddhism, you name the religion, and they have mistranslated. They have taken the parts that had to do with the hidden sciences out. They lock them away, and then they have an outer version that it keeps everyone kind of in a belief structure, yet without any of the pearls of wisdom that help one to really connect to the true essence and source. Which to me is the firmament of true religion. It's not belief, it's not faith, it's experience. Direct experience of union and connection to who we truly are. As love, as grace. If you want to stay as solid matter, then don't ever do this. If you want to activate high spinning electron activity, place your tongue here every so often. It immediately unifies. Go ahead, let's get a microphone for a moment, and then just like I was saying earlier, occasionally I'll be in a situation, I'll try still point. Then I might try squeezing. Some situations, I'm in a situation, I just place the tongue there, and I see what effect does that have on what's happening around. Raise your hand. Does anybody want to share their experience with that process? We did a lot in that process. That process had like a lot of things to it.
Yeah, I noticed that I just wanted to stay in that point.
Yes.
Just wanted to stay, and then it went there automatically. Before, I was finding it quite difficult.
Yeah.
But now, it's
so it
amazing.
Helps you to want to stay in that still point.
Absolutely.
Doesn't
I wanted to stay longer, and it wanted to. And when I came out of it, I was like, "Wow, I never had this feeling before." Amazing. Amazing. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. That is so wonderful. That to me is just so. Isn't that nice? Is that not nice? I mean, I get blessed to be able to go around and practice and share and be in this space. It's like the most amazing blessing ever. And when I hear someone who I had that same moment in my life where I said, "Oh my goodness, I can be here." So good for you. Good work. Really, that's just powerful. And I just want to say that because some folks have had a little bit of experience with still point. some of the things I'm sharing, I get up and I often say, oh, it's still, I'm just resting here. There's a lot of other things I'm doing behind the scenes that have enabled me to get to the point where I'm holding this space day to day in my life. Years of practice. There were years where I was meditating 10, 11 hours a day, every day. So I make it look like, oh, it's so easy. Just drop in here for a moment. There was a lot of stuff that went on to help get me to this point. And I'm sharing some of those little shortcuts in a retreat like this. So good, good, good. Anyone else want to share their experience in that process? Yes. There's two there.
It was beautiful. It was like a divine connection.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was flooded with violet light. I could just see all of that. And the fluttering of the sphenoid, I guess, was activating itself before you even mentioned,
Yes.
with your perception bringing it in. That was just already happening.
Yeah.
And as well as the plexis that just had already automatically started before we got to that point.
Beautiful.
So I felt like I was just in divine connection.
Beautiful.
Like hitting the jackpot in Las Vegas.
That's such a good. That's such a good point. I really want to take a moment to highlight that, because to me, when I do these processes, my first goal is to get into that neutral space. So if I drop in, then the rest of the process is about neutrality, going around to areas. It's almost like if you have an area, where the flood comes and the water's coming into that area, and it goes over and there's a little area and it goes into a little tidal pool and starts moving, and then it flows on to the next area. So when I drop into still point, to me it's like, oh, neutrality. And then I just say, oh, neutrality, you go over, go down to this plexus and move that, and then drop that in. And then the next one. So it looks like I have a plan and a start, but really I'm just being in neutrality and letting neutrality come and move it to the next. Same as when I do a session and I do the unwind and person unwinds. Well, I don't do anything. When I see that person going like this and then they're unwinding, I say, oh, that's neutrality coming in, and then it stops. Then it says, oh, okay, well, where's it going now? And I start to move it over to this area, and then they start to unwind a little. You get the picture? Exact same thing when a session, that when I'm doing a process, I'm letting that neutrality flow, and I follow it. I say, you know best where to go. You understand what's not flowing with you. You go. Because it wove it. It wove the whole play. It's totally capable of figuring out what has to go and where and unwind. And thank you. Hi, John.
Hi there. I now know why I came to Las Vegas. I didn't know this before, and I've never talked about it. I guess it never ever come up, but my tongue rests on the roof of my mouth naturally all the time.
Mm.
And when you started talking about that, I thought, whoa, what's going on here?
Mm.
But it's just I don't know if it's the way my mouth is formed, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, with that, but doing that, and then with the earlier this morning with being able to squeeze your, I know there's a joke there someplace, but it turned my brain off, like in my mind, because my mind goes 100 miles an hour at all given times.
Yeah.
And it stopped it. And then with this, with your tongue and moving it around your mouth,
Yeah.
I started to get flashes of light.
Yes.
And I don't, as you know, I'm kind of, and it takes a lot to get any kind of a reaction like that. So it's just, it's kind of awesome.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. That's what I always say, and I want to say this to new folks. A lot of the folks that are here that are sharing have been to 10, or how many seminars have you been to, Donna? But all of our seminars that we do. So my point is, if you're not experiencing it, if it's new, this is a process. If you feel just a little relaxed, that is a big piece to it. Donna's come to a lot, and it's not the first occasion she shared with me, she doesn't feel that much, right? So that's big. Really big. So good. This is the natural, you look, there are pictures of the folks the Mayan folks. They're sitting there in this place, and their tongue is at the roof of their mouth, and they look like they're traveling through the galaxy. You ever see those pictures? In the Buddhists, that same with the Buddhas, they sit here and they're smiling and the tongue is at the roof of the mouth and they're like this. This is like test driving our vehicle. This is like, how do we test drive this thing and get these different areas going so that we start to connect to what it's designed to connect to? So good. Yes.
Oh, thank you, Paul. I'll try to be very neutral, otherwise I think I have the microphone every 2 minutes to blow a compliment. But what Donna said, it's remarkable. What you just said, you pointing to the direction. That's all you do, you point to the direction. Because she said, if I understand correctly, she left with the tongue in the upper palate the whole 15 years of her life, and she didn't feel it. We live our entire life with that essence within us.
That's right.
And we don't feel it.
That's right.
And we've been told from the first day till the last that something is wrong.
Yes.
Like Nancy doesn't need to ever have a question. Not this woman.
Yeah.
And she still asks.
Yeah.
Because the habit is still there to take particular notes, to be perfect, to just if we know the physiology of the body, then we will. And you talk about something that points to that very nature that it knows.
Yes.
And when you point to the outside, it just makes the connection.
Yes.
Because we cannot perceive the whatever they call the quantum field, unless there is a reference inside. But the embrace then is there. So it's huge. And now I will shut up, I won't say, but when you point to the nectar, it was just very interesting how it dropped to the bottom instantly.
Yeah.
That reference, technical, cerebrospinal fluid, blah, 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 but there is something that's very, very interesting at the simultaneously of experiences.
Yes.
To me echoes deeply because I know experientially once again, not only looking at you, the businessman in pajama, the teacher in pajama, but I can see now inside, I can be here and not off here. I love you so much. I'm so grateful.
That's sweet. Thank you. You know, to me, there's something you touched on that to me is so of the essence, and that is, how the more, it might seem like I'm doing a process here or down here, yet the more we open up this superconductive space in the body, there's no distance. So I could do a process like when I do a clearing process and then I tap in to the sacrum and I drop it in neutrality instantaneously. The reason I love to do that so much is not because of the energy down here or here. As soon as I drop that in, for me, this opens up.